Video games have been a medium of storytelling for decades now, growing much more cinematic and creative with the advancement of technology and ideas to fuel the industry. With the increase in storytelling and world-building capabilities comes the ability to offer more to players. Many games in recent years have made it an ideal choice to offer some necessary or insignificant ways to differentiate playstyles or decisions. This is the way freedom works in games. To start off, let me make it clear that I'll cover freedom in the categories of gameplay, storytelling, and in a literal sense, making your own game. When playing a game that offers you the ability to make your own character, custom appearance, and personality, plus assigning a background, it gives the choice of storytelling, because it sets the foundation of how your journey shall progress and just how personalized the experience may feel in comparison to someone who chose, say, the background of a hardened delinquent, as opposed to someone that chose to be an everyday man adjusting to the game's environment. The two games that come to mind when I think about this is Cyberpunk 2077 and Mass Effect, because in the two games you get to choose the background for your character as well as the customization of how they'll look, and those two things dictate future dialogue options or choices that you have access to or do not have access to. So for example, an entire community is under attack. Your choice to help them gives you the backing of a small town of people. Choosing to ignore them leaves you neutral or disliked, and joining the attackers gets you hated in that community, but the respect of a bigger group of people. And two games that remind me of this situation, this would be Metal Gear Solid 4 and Fallout New Vegas. In Fallout New Vegas, the town of Good Springs is attacked by a group called the Powder Gangers. The option is presented to choose Good Springs or the Powder Gangers. Whichever you choose will ultimately be the faction that you are liked by. In Metal Gear Solid 4, you can choose to help the local militia in their war efforts, to which they will be non-hostile and possibly even friendly, but if you remain neutral or aggressive, then you'll be considered another enemy. For storytelling, the decisions you make can hold great influence, or make no impact at all. It depends primarily on the quest. The story can be separated into two categories: main quests and side quests. The main quest is the story that usually affects the world and your character the most, depending on your choices. An example of this would be choosing to disregard a character's ideals and opinions, and because you did so, you can no longer get their assistance and have to find a substitute. Side quests usually affect the small areas that they're contained within, with varying results. Say like killing off a bandit camp and they no longer spawn anymore, or helping a city and you successfully see non-playable characters, otherwise known as NPCs, walk around gleefully instead of downtrodden as you did before your interference. Lastly, examples of games that allow for the ultimate amount of creativity would be games like Sims, Spore, Super Mario Maker, City Skylines, Universum, and etc. These are simulation games, so realistically the possibilities of customization are endless. You can make entire cities, people, universes, anything theoretically. These games offer the most freedom because they don't have any genuine constraints in terms of story or world building, because that is left up to the player. Now that I've covered the general freedoms that games offer, let's discuss the reason why freedom is such an important thing to incorporate into a game's experience. As with most aspects of life, you'd want the ability to choose what to do, when and how, because being told what to do is limiting, therefore less enjoyable. This also applies to being given the answer to a problem immediately or so blatantly that it hurts, because the game essentially does not believe you can manage on your own. Having the ability to choose how you want to complete an objective makes the playthrough immerse the player a little bit more, because they can feel like part of the world rather than a spectator. An additional reason for freedom being essential in the game is that it develops emergent gameplay, which is essentially the world responding to the actions you take, and you having to adapt accordingly to those responses. That reminds me of this is Metal Gear Solid 5, because in that game, the enemy adapts to your playstyle. So whenever you use a tranquilizer dart and you shoot an enemy in the head, then they'll start wearing helmets in order to counter that. Or if you start infiltrating bases at night, they'll take notice of that and they'll wear goggles or use spotlights to be able to detect you in the dark. Not only does this style of game design allow for more variety in how the player interacts with the world, it personalizes the experience and allows for the player to understand the game with their own encounters and discoveries. I want to say thanks for watching my video. I understand that it wasn't that well edited because this is my first time editing and my laptop is kind of garbage. So hopefully it wasn't too bad.